Hello there, it's Yvonne from Women's Fitness Adventures. Welcome to Monday Night Live. It is, it is 6 months into the year. We are at the beginning of July today. So how fast did that time go? And that is literally the topic of today's conversation is how fast is time going and what can we do with our time? So I'm just going to pop some notes in the chat if I can get my spelling right. So welcome to Monday Night Live. I am fresh off from hiking this morning, and had a busy afternoon with my head down doing some tasks for next year's adventures. So lovely to have you here. If you're watching live, please go ahead and say hello. There is a 20-second delay. So if I'm saying hurry up and make some comments, I just need to check myself. But today I'm going to talk about the gap and the gain. I talk about this a fair bit, and there is a book written called The Gap and the Gain, and it's a fantastic book. And we talked about this on our Monday Night Live, on our Sunday Walk and Talk that we have inside our membership. And you can connect from wherever you live. And my girlfriend, who I've known for a long, long time, came over on Saturday night, and her and I have this saying, when was the last time you did something for the first time? So we're always trying to challenge ourselves. And so we had this conversation at Monday Night Live, get it all mixed up, Sunday Walk and Talk yesterday. And some of the comments, and I know some of you here were actually commenting, and I'm going to share some of those comments. But today being the 1st of July, you're probably thinking, how on earth did this day come so quickly? This year is flying by. And if we think of all these years that are flying by, all the time is flying by too. And we can choose to do something in that time or do nothing, but the time is going to pass anyway. So if we think about it in 6 months, that will fly by, another whole year will be gone. And what we choose to do in this next 6 months, we can either get focused and, productive around what our goals are, whether that's health or wellness, whether that's hiking, whether that's, anything, learning a new skill. The time is going to pass anyway. And we can sit here and say, I wish, I hope, or I plan, but the actual doing is the thing that really matters the most. So it's when we then get to look back, we may or may not, and let me know if you do have New Year's resolutions. If you set any of those, 6 months has passed since a resolution or a goal or a plan or whatever it might have been. And are you anywhere into it? The time has passed anyway. So really important to think about what this, we always think about the gap. We always think about the things that we want to do, the skills that we want to have. But the gain is what we actually do with that time. And time is something we can never get back. So let me check in who is here. Hello, Brod from a chilly Launceston. It's actually quite chilly here today in Brisbane town too. The sun has not been out, which is quite rare for us. Hello, Karen from Claremont. Patricia from Bribie Island. Hello, Chrissy from Redcliffe. Hello, Colette, just down the road. And hello, Sandra from the Central Coast. For those of you who are watching, and hello, Veronica. Not long till Catch the Mountain. If you are watching and haven't said hello, please go ahead and say hello. I come on here every week. You get to see me. I don't get to see you. Hello, Karen from Morningside, Gay from Brisbane, and Kerry from Northeast. I'm assuming that's Victoria. And that spell check is often incorrect. So one of the things, Margaret from a Marvelous Cairns, I've got a bit of alliteration there. One of the things we have been talking about in the office of recent is that we are, as some of you know, most of you know, we're 10 years old this year at Women's Fitness Adventures. And we have looked back over the 10 years and looked at some of our members who have been with us for quite a long time. And we've looked at what we've achieved in that time as well, not only in terms of the places we've gone and the women that we've assisted, but also in terms of our own health and our own wellness and the journey that we're on. And, if I challenge you to dig out some old photos and take a look at yourself and just see, are you, the person that you wanted to be 5 years ago or 10 years ago? And there was this really fabulous quote today that said, there are only 2 people in your life you need to impress. Can anyone guess? I'll come back to that in a minute, who the 2 people are. I'll let you have a guess. There's only 2 people in life that you need to impress or live up to or be proud of. Maybe impress isn't the word. Live up to or be proud of. Does anyone know who those 2 people are? So I'll let the 20 seconds delay kick over. There are only 2 people that you need to live up to the expectation of or be proud of, or that need to be proud of you, I should say. So me and myself, kind of, Brod. Thank you for trying. And I thought this was really, really clever. So it's kind of, but not quite. So let's see if anyone else has got a go. Myself and I, self and sort of. I'll let a couple more suggestions come in, and then I will share it, because it was really quite profound, and it made me stop and think about, yeah. Well, I'll wait. I'll give you one more second. So when we asked, getting close, Karen. Yep. When we asked some of our members on our walk and talk session yesterday, what is something that you are doing now, whether it's a new skill, whether it's a lifestyle, a habit that you weren't doing 5 years ago? And some of the results were quite amazing. So I'm going to answer the question. So we had self and I, me and myself and future me, old self and 100-year-old self, the woman I used to be and the woman in the mirror. So it was the two people that need to be most proud of you are your 8-year-old self and your 80-year-old self. And I thought that was quite amazing, because our 8-year-old self should have been filled, or could have, most likely was filled with, dreams and ambition, not ambition as in like, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be a butterfly, or I want to be an Olympian, or whatever it might have been, or I could be anything. It didn't have to be a label. So all of this, world of opportunity at our feet. And then when we get to 80, looking back on our life going, is that how I wanted to live my life? And so I think, and I started thinking today, would my 8-year-old self be really proud of me, that 8-year-old girl? What would she be thinking? And then when I one day get to 80, hopefully I get the privilege of living to 80, will I look back on my life and think, is that the life that I wanted to live? Sometimes it doesn't go to plan. Most of the time it never goes to plan, but it's what I do with those variations to plan that make the difference. So if we get back to this conversation of what are you doing now, what skill, or what is a habit or something that you have now that you didn't have 5 years ago? If we stop and think about that, 5 years was 2019. It was just before, this time 5 years ago was just before the pandemic hit. None of us knew that was happening. And a lot of us over that period of time learnt new skills. We were able to focus, some of us, on our health, and some of us chose not to focus on our health or our wellness, or we learnt new skills, or we did all sorts of things. So some of the ones that I loved, and if you were there and would like to elaborate, I'd love you to put your comments in the box so I can read them out. But Christine, one of our members, is off traveling in a caravan around Australia, no set location, no set time frame. And she said 5 years ago, it was her dream to be traveling around in a caravan and going and walking, physically walking to places that were just not the lookout, to actually get out there and be active. And guess what Christine is doing today? She is traveling all around Australia. Every other day there's a picture from some other location, and she said if it wasn't for the support of the group, then she probably, and hadn't found us, probably wouldn't be doing that. But think of all the things that she had gained when 5 years ago, before she knew who we were, we've only known Christine for about two or 3 years, I think. That was a gap. That was a big thing of maybe one day, possibly I could, maybe, perhaps. But now she's actually got so much that she has gained from doing that and being active and participative in her life. Angela, who is not watching, also said the same thing, that 5 years ago to now, she's created a new habit. And that habit is that she now dedicates time, regular time, to herself, which if you're a woman of Angela and my age, you're probably thinking, yeah, that's something I should do a bit more often is give myself the beautiful gift of time to do nothing, time to read a book, time to, just time for ourselves, and taking more time out than we think we need, time to relax, time to rest. But that was something that 5 years ago Angela wasn't doing, didn't have. and she runs her own business, and in that busyness she realized that the gift she could give, the gain she could give to herself, was to give herself the gift of some time just for her to be her, not to be the business owner, the mother, the wife, the farm owner, the whatever else is going on in her world, just to be her, to do whatever she chooses. So hopefully you're following along. Hopefully you're liking these stories. And if you have your own story of something you're doing now, or a new skill that you have, or a gain that you have from 5 years ago, we have been looking at our members that have been with us a long time, and have seen just that profound, well, not profound, that dedication to their daily movement, that sees them in such good health, that ability to, and for most of you, I know most of you here who are watching, or who have named yourself, that you do that as well. And we may not think that our little daily actions are significant, but it's when we add up all of those daily little actions that we get this marvelous, totally marvelous result. And there's another saying, so your 8-year-old self and your 80-year-old self are the two people that you want to be most proud of you. But the other saying is, show me your daily habits and I'll show you your life. So the fact that our longer term members, or even our shorter term lot of our new Couch to Mountainers, are now in this habit of daily movement. And as I say, you don't have to go far and you don't have to go fast, but we just have to go. It's that incidental movement of parking the car a little bit further away, or catching the public transport, walking to the public transport where it's safe and you're able to do so, or, walking up and down the stairs a few times in your house, or, going for that afternoon stroll, even if it's only 10 minutes instead of half an hour. All of those things, all of that daily movement that adds up over, 1 month, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. I can see that in all the women in our world. And then, for the ones who are out there and willing to go on hiking adventures and getting way beyond the crowds and the footpath, that daily activity of moving, and, show me your daily activity and I'll show you your life. We see that in the photos of the places some of you go, and that's quite amazing. So Margaret says, I think mine, so 5 years ago, was to focus on my health, and then she has found that through Women's Fitness Adventures. Yeah, and we've seen, Margaret, so much change and so much excitement by sharing your journey with you. So thank you for that. Chrissy says, 5 years ago, I was in a very unhappy relationship, which I left 17 months ago. In the past 5 years, I've had 2 full knee replacements, which I have now completed my first solo camping trip in April and could do the Queen Mary Falls. I'm happier, more vibrant, and enjoying life. That's awesome, Chrissy. And I think it's really important that we take the opportunity to look back over those past 5 years, because we might think that our little walk today, or that little decision I made, or that phone call I made to a friend, or the opportunity, and I know Alethea's not here, but of saying yes to something, can unknowingly change the course of where we're going and what we're doing, and it all adds up to this beautiful gain that we have in our life. Conversely, we can choose to do the opposite, that show me your daily habits and I'll show you your life. People say to me, oh, it's easy for you, you get to move every day, that's your job. It is, but it's still not easy to move every day. You have to make an effort. You have to get the right mindset. You have to get the, that habit baked in. And when that habit gets baked in, it just becomes part of your daily life. So, we can look at someone's life and think it's easy being you, or it's easy, it's easy for you, for your wellness, you're fit, you're this, you're that. It's not actually easy. It's habit forming. And the hard part is actually forming the habit. The hard part is not the doing. The hard part is doing it. Well, the hard part is doing it enough for it to form a habit. And when you form that habit, and we can look back over the past 5 years, during COVID, we all formed the habit of washing our hands more regularly, of sanitizing and wearing masks. And for all of us, that was a really easy thing to do. Perhaps not so now, but it was a really easy thing to do. So when we get into that habit and we get into that something that makes us feel really good in terms of movement, it starts to really add up and make a huge difference. So Brod says 4 years ago, 4 years membership now, Brod. Wow, that's awesome. Healthier, feeling good. My walking is the regular topic of conversation from friends. Absolutely. And, switching out sometimes the coffee at the coffee shop for let's go for a walk first and then have a coffee is a really great way to get lots of terrific conversation in, as well as that activity as well. And hello, Chris from Townsville, arriving late. And Patricia, I know you're here because you've said it. You've said you're here, but you haven't commented. So I'm going to share Patricia's story. And Patricia asked, when we were talking on our Sunday walk and talk, and said that for her it's daily movement. And for the past, it'd be 4 years for you now too, I think, Patricia. It's that daily movement that before you would, you'd do the walking and stuff, but it is a dedicated walk almost every day now. And that has made so much difference, not just to, how we, how we conduct our outdoor activities, but how we move through life as well. The flow-on benefits of our daily habits of moving, when they add up just day after day after day, make a huge difference. Ellen says, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been sitting on the ground in a cubby house with my granddaughter like I was on the weekend instead of being at SWAT. So that's where you were. Amazing. Out of the cubby. Those cubbies can be tiny, but the fact that you could bend, you could squat, you could crawl probably, or crouch down and go through is also amazing as well. So, we think that sometimes these things just creep up on us, and it's not until we stop and think about it and go, oh, I can put my undies on standing up. I don't need to sit on the bed. I can put my shoes and socks on standing up. All these just little things that we might deem insignificant are actually really, really significant when you compare to the general population. And I want everyone to remember that, because it's easy to think, I still have this gain, that I still have these things I want to do, I want to focus on. But just remember, if you're able to do some of those things compared to the general population, you are miles and miles ahead. Kerry says, hello from Logan Village. Women's Fitness Adventures gives me the training plan that I need and the discipline and commitment. Absolutely. And that accountability. And when people see us doing stuff, we were talking about this on Sunday as well, that especially partners, and they see us out doing activities and stuff like that. And, sometimes they might feel that they may be a little bit neglected at times, but eventually our daily habits start to rub off on others, and you may see other people around you. And I think it was Sue, one of our members, was sharing in her office at lunchtime now. She now goes for walks, which she wasn't doing, 6 to 12 months ago. And now all the office is looking out to make sure that every lunchtime she gets that opportunity to go out and walk, and holds her accountable as well. So this flow-on effect, the ripple effect, the rub-on effect really makes a huge difference. So don't stop doing what you're doing if you are doing this daily movement. Hello, Morna. A big dig in a veggie garden, part of your increased moving. Absolutely. And a veggie garden and gardening is such a great thing to do, because we bend and squat and reach for the stars when we garden as well. And Patricia says, yes, it's 4 years now. My life is so good because I'm active every single day. And not just active as in get out of bed, move from one room to the other, but very, very active as well. But the key is, no matter where you are, and with anything, whether it's learning a new skill, whether it's, that daily movement, whether it's anything, is to just get started. Another saying is, the best day to plant a tree was yesterday. The second best day is today. So it doesn't matter, how far you go or how fast you go. Frequency matters. Showing up with consistency matters. Also knowing when to rest matters too. Those incidental steps matter. Parking your car a little bit further away from the shop in the last car park, not driving around till you can get the first car park. All those things make a difference. And the other thing in the 5 years that I've seen, not so much in our members, but in general population is that sometimes when we have a setback, when we have an injury, we have this very fine cliff that I consider it a cliff that we can get to the edge of. And I know when I broke my wrist mountain biking many years ago, it's really easy to get to that cliff. We might have an injury or a setback, and it takes us out of our routine, out of that beautifully curated habit that we've been, building for sometimes years or decades. And then we have this something that breaks that habit, and we can go, I couldn't be bothered getting out of bed early. I'm just going to sleep in, or I'm, not going to do it today. I'm feeling tired. And then that becomes our new habit. And I liken it to taking ourselves to the edge of a cliff. And then we have a choice to make at the edge of the cliff. Say it's an injury, we can let that injury be the defining thing for the rest of our life, or we can go, hey, I know that there's good support out there with all the allied health professionals, with my doctors, with my physios. I can work with them, and there's no reason I can't get back to all of that activity again. I may have to modify it. I may have to do, some rehab. I may have to do all these things. But if I get the right people around me, I can come back from the edge of that cliff and I can get back into my daily habits as well, so that our little blip doesn't upend our whole 5 years or 10 years or decades of movement that we were doing. And hello, Christine from Bithramir. I think I got that right. I hope I got that right. So if we think about even last week, some things we're doing this week that we weren't doing last week. It could be that we've increased our distance of moving. It could be I know someone wrote in there that they've 2 years have been doing Pilates and wish they'd started sooner, but 2 years is better than no years. Another one is now a Scoutmaster, and 5 years ago was not a Scoutmaster. So all these new skills, but we often just brush them under the carpet, especially as women, and don't take credit for these amazing things that we do, because today some new research came out that said there's still gender inequity in women being able to, especially younger mothers mothers of younger kids, of being able to get out and exercise, because they're generally trying to do the two things at once, trying to manage the kids and trying to do their yoga with kids crawling over them, or pushing the pram or something like that. So there's still that gender imbalance. So if you're a woman and you're out there and you're active and you're moving, then you are miles and miles ahead of most of the population, and you should be applauded for that. Chrissy says, exactly, that's what I've done with my physio. He could teach me how to kneel so I could pitch my tent, as an example. Well, there you go. Perfect. So we don't want to give up all those things that we work so hard for. We just need to find the right people to support us with our pursuits, because there'd be lots of people out there who would tell us to, well, don't you think it's time? I'm in the running community. Don't you think it's time you hung up your running shoes? Your knees must be sore. My knees aren't sore. Their knees might be sore, but there's workarounds for things. So if we think about that daily movement, if we think about 5 years from then to now, if we just, as you go to sleep tonight, think about, I'm going to come back to that, Christine. If we think about just as we go to sleep tonight, think about this conversation, and just put it in your head. What are the amazing things I'm doing now, which, you might consider not amazing, that I wasn't doing 5 years ago? And, for me, learning a whole lot of new technology around websites, and, none of us knew Zoom 5 years ago. If you can't think of anything, think of Zoom. None of us knew Zoom 5 years ago. Even I've been doing this for about 10 years live, but, lots of things that we consider in our daily life, some of you using your watches to tap for, money on an FPOS machine. All of that is new stuff. If we really think about it, we've just come so far in a short space of time, and we need to focus on the gain of that. Christine says, when I was talking about health professionals and, having an injury and getting the right team around you, thank you for this. I've hurt my back and hip recently, as well as putting my mum in aged care today. Oh, Christine, I really want to give you a big hug right there. I know the day that we put our dad into aged care was really a really challenging day, and that guilt that you feel, even though you have no choice, it's the right place. It is a really hard space to be in. So sending you big hugs. And hopefully with your back and your hip, you do get the right support, and we'll really focus on all the gains that will be coming your way as you do the work from your health professional. So speaking of gains, our team we have literally been as leaders, and I think, Brod, you pointed it out, we have been as leaders flitting here, there, and everywhere. So I'm recently 2 weeks back from Greece. I think it's 2 weeks, no, 1 week. And I was literally almost ready to fly home from Greece, and Jane was heading off to Cinque Terre, and she arrived home on Saturday, and Trish has flown on Saturday off to Iceland. So they are now in Iceland, and this is our third time to Iceland. We're not going again next year. So if you were interested in Iceland, too slow. And the first year was fantastic in 2022. And then the year after was a very different adventure, even though it was the same trail, because the weather was extremely different. And then this year, they're going to have a very different adventure again, same trails, but there is a lot of snow melt right now. So they are going to have much more water than our past two groups have had. They've probably got warmer weather than the first group that I took had as well. So they may look out for the pictures on the main Facebook page. They may be random because there isn't a whole lot of internet over there or access as they trek through the highlands of Iceland. But when they get back, be prepared for a whole lot of photos blasting through our Facebook page, because it is truly an amazing place. And if you think about 5 years ago, it was not it was on our radar back then for the very first group, but for a lot of women who have been on our subsequent groups, Iceland was not even on their radar. So they've trained and they've upskilled and learned a whole lot of different things about gear and equipment to be able to do that trek as well. Ellen says, for the past 5 years, taking photos of herself doing our challenges, which will become quite good at that, technology, timers, cameras, all of that, and exercises at the same time. That was not happening 5 years ago. Yep. If we really sit down and think about it and go, what am I, June 2019, what was I doing? And now July 2024, what am I doing now that I wasn't doing then? And you'd be quite amazed. So that can be one of your extra challenges as well. So I'm almost at the end. What else I just want to share is our online Trail Fit training. So for those of you who are members of Women's Fitness Adventures, I know many of you attend Trail Fit training and Cardio Boost, but I really encourage you, if you are on any adventure of ours or not, if you're on your own adventure, take advantage. If you're not going to the gym and you're not doing strength training, take advantage of those classes that are all included inside your membership, particularly if you are going anywhere from we're heading out to Outback soon in a couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of you there. We also have our first full pack on the Japala Trail. If anyone is doing Larapinta Trail, not with us this year, but certainly for next year, our Corsica adventures as well. The strength training and the cardio boost that you will get from those sessions, and I know many of you here do them, but anyone else who is watching who hasn't identified yourself, I don't know who you are, it is such a game changer. And every time I go on an adventure, take an adventure, and our members all say to me, I'm so glad I did that, or I'm so glad I took your notes to my PT or my exercise physiologist and built the strength in my body and built the cardio to be able to do that. Because remember, and again, this whole time thing, we want the Goldilocks training plan, not the hot chili pepper, burn your butt off last 2 weeks training plan. So same thing, gap and the gain. We can sit here and hope that we'd be fit for an adventure, or we can actually do our daily movement and be ready for the adventure. So that is it from me for tonight. So as I said, look out. There should be some Iceland pictures overnight tonight because they're in Reykjavik right now. But it's all such a good thing. So over the next coming weeks, there are so many great photos that are going to come out from all of our adventurers near, wide and far. Members, don't forget the wall sit challenge started today. And I've seen lots of pictures of feet and socks, and it will build that strength in your body as well. So that is it from me. Don't forget to register for Showcase at the end of July. So end of this month, all the adventures are on sale. I am finalizing, that's why I was late to start, finalizing the last pieces of those. They are super, super exciting. So pop your name on an expression of interest, register for Showcase, and we'll have those itineraries out as soon as Trish gets back in 2 weeks, so you can see all the details. I'm super excited, and I do hope to share some of those with you. But that's it from me. I look forward to catching up with you next Monday. See you then. Bye.